Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would show you guys how I've been creating these waves. This is a page from Kirby Roseanne's Worlds Within Worlds. It's the infamous, fish page. I had shared this on social media and a few of you had asked for the color combo, so I'll be taking a photo of that today. But also, I just haven't finished this page because I have been waiting to do this tutorial. So I've left this whole area here so that I can show you guys, one, how to use the colors and create this effect here. But then I will also be showing you guys how I have created the little Seafoam spray, which I still need to do to the rest of the page, and I'll do the rest obviously off camera, but at least I have a perfect area here to show you guys, because up here and all right here will be white. So let's dive in, so to speak. Okay, so the colors you are going to need are indigo blue PC 901, cobalt turquoise PC 105, aquamarine PC 905, light aqua PC 992, and then white PC 938. So we are going to start with our indigo. And basically, I just use the shadows that Kirby has kindly provided us. So, I mean, I'm using kind of like a heavy pressure where I want it the darkest. And then I just kind of fan it out lightly. Just plan on going back after anyways. So I just kind of tackle all of these areas at once. You can just do one little wave section at a time if you want. It's really up to you, but I just find it easier to just keep going. So up here, I am adding indigo, but that's because the wave is coming over. So obviously there's going to be a shadow. So I'm going to add it here and there, not everywhere, but enough. And hopefully this angle works. I wanted to make it so my hand was out of the way. So I'm bringing it down there. Kirby does help with shading a lot, but I don't think like you should follow it literally all the time. But it does help, like in situations like this, you can totally tell where the wave is breaking versus not. So that part is helpful. Okay, I think I'll do dark right here as well. I just don't want to get his surfboard. See, his surfboard is right there. Yeah, I am pressing kind of hard and just lightening as I get toward where I plan to put my next color. That one I'm not going to darken. Let's see, put some right here. Okay, then I'm putting some here as well. And we'll actually end up going back with our indigo blue after to darken it up. So this is kind of just an initial layer. Now, this is one of many ways to color a wave. I just chose this more turquoisey effect because that was what I want. But you can do this with more blues mixed with turquoise. This is not like the sole way to color a wave. It's seriously one of a dozen ways. And honestly, the only reason I'm coloring it this way is because it works best with this page. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing waves. You know, there's so many different ways to do this. I mean, some people use Posca for their little Seafoam. Other people just do it with their pencil. You can use gel pen. You can use a variety of blues. This is just how I chose to do this one. So let's call this a how to color the waves in Kirby's book, because in another book I would probably do it a different way. I would not make it as teal. I would have a lot more light blues and a little bit more greens in there as well. Carry that up there. All right. Okay. Let's see if I've got all my shadows that I want. I can always add more later, but it's better to get them in. Just want to make sure. So we're going to kind of not do this part at the bottom. I want to focus on the one with the crest just so you guys can do that one. Okay. So now we will grab our cobalt turquoise. Oops. Made that one a little too sharp. And this is where it gets a little tricky, like trying to figure out where to put your turquoise. But honestly, on this page, I just kind of winged it and it's like, whatever. But still, like, you can alter this as you see fit. See, so this is coming over, so I don't want to accidentally encroach on there. Okay. The legs here, and I kind of follow like the wave lines to tell me where each wave starts and ends. Really, like, this is such a fantasy picture. I mean, I'm not going for realism. But it's still a cool effect and it's fun to do and learn. But by no means am I like trying to make a realistic wave. It's more like a fantasy wave, I guess we could call it. And some spots I do kind of go over the indigo, while other times I just meet up against it. It's just kind of me eyeballing it. I wish I could be like, do it this way on every single page, but I can't. So this will probably be like a wave tutorial of many. Just next time I'm happen to color in waves. I do want to get this part because this is part of that big crest that I want to do. So in like some spots here, I'm using Kirby's lines for shadows. Okay. Then we'll come up here. And again, remember this is in shadow technically, because this is the right under that crest. So it's going to be darker. Like if you've ever watched waves, you'll notice how it gets dark right under. Okay. Oh, and right here it looks like we have a teensy little crest, so I want to get that. Okay. Let's grab our aquamarine and we'll start on these ones here, and I'm basically overlapping everything, smushing it all together. That's what Prismacolors are great at. Just gonna cover that bubble because I don't like that bubble there anyway. And if you find that you have like too much tooth showing or anything like that, you can totally go over it with a blender pencil. I've actually done that a few times on this, and like some spots where they were just too rough. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, if you don't want to use a blender, then you just have to expect to go back over it with the colors again. So if you don't feel like layering, break out your blender. If you feel like layering, don't. I tend to not feel like layering, but okay, so now we want to get these parts here, not accidentally covering the birdie. The random bird, I think, well, no, that might be just water. Like I feel so close to done with this page, but I'm not. Okay. Oops. Pencil shaving. Hopefully the angle is okay. I'm doing it this way to keep my hand out of the way. But I've also noticed it keeps the camera from zooming in and out when all you see is the tip of the pencil and not my hand. The camera tends to focus on my hand if it gets in the way. Which is great if I wanted you to see my hand, but I want you to see what I'm coloring. Okay. You know, it all looks very random how I'm laying the colors down, but secret, I really am just laying them down very random. The less you try, the more realistic or cooler it looks. Like, just don't think about it. Just put it down. I mean, like, put down your shadows where your shadows go and all that. But other than that, like, try not to stress over it too much. That way it just looks natural. Okay. And you'll notice with each color I'm doing like medium to heavy pressure, but overlapping one another. And then I kind of, with this aqua, purposely leave it very light in some spots, but that's because I'm going to go over it with our white. That's where I want it to kind of look more milky. But then in other spots, I press a little harder because I want full coverage. This is one of my favorite color combos with Prismas. Okay. Before we grab our white, let's go back to our indigo. And this is where I kind of just take indigo and darken things that kind of muted when I put my turquoise colors over it. So see how I'm kind of bringing that back out? It makes a world of difference. Like, you could leave it, but I've definitely noticed I get more of an intense shadow effect if I come back and add the indigo again versus just leaving it. I don't add it everywhere, but I do try to pick up those areas where it's kind of faded. But like, see down here, I want this to make sure it doesn't get erased by the turquoise. And then you can also cover over some of the turquoise with it, so it darkens that. Darkens in here. My nails almost match. Not intentional, but cool. Okay. Definitely want it dark right in here, so I'm just gonna add a little more. Did notice, I wish there was a slightly darker blue than the indigo, because I want to do the background of this page really, really dark, and this is basically the darkest blue they've got, but it's not a big deal. Okay, let's get these ones here. Okay. Now you'll want your Prismacolor white, and that's where I just take the white, kind of bring it up where I want, smush it down where I want. I blend those areas where I left the light aqua purposely light. But see how it, I mean, it's such an opaque color. It goes right over even my darkest ones. So I can kind of smush that highlight wherever I want. Honestly, this is one reason I love Prismacolors. Just the white does its job. Okay. Definitely want that to go up there, and that one to go up there. So you can even put it right on top. Okay. So for the most part, our wave there is done. I'm not coloring this part of the wave. I'm just doing this one here. So next we are going to add our Seafoam or salt spray, whatever you want to call it. So first we need some pencils for this. Let me just sharpen this back up. Okay. So grab your aquamarine. And the reason we're adding some color here is because if this was all, ooh, well, thank you, Prisma. If this was all white, it would look really bulky and weird. I'm gonna just switch to the one on the other side, so I'm not wasting a bunch of time while I sharpen that over. Okay. So just get your aquamarine in here. And I'll put it in a few spots down here as well. Back here in between the surfer dude, I'm not really sure because my background is going to be a really, really dark blue. I might use my Distress inks or possibly one of my watercolors. I just have to see if any of them are dark enough. So we're leaving that blank. Okay, so now we're just taking our light aqua and fanning it. Now some of it will get covered by white paint, but I want to make sure that I have some color coming down this way. So it's kind of hard because there's like bubbles everywhere. Okay. Again, like no thinking about it, just put it down wherever it looks good. Might even darken it up a little there. Okay. Now we are going to do the messy but fun part of this tutorial. So I am going to get my paint ready and I will be back. Okay, so you're just going to need a white acrylic paint. It seriously does not matter the brand. I don't even know where I got this. I think it was like Walmart's cheap craft brand. But that said, let me get out my towel. So you can either pour it on a palette, or in this case, I just put a teensy bit in the lid because I'm not using a ton and I don't want to dirty a palette. You can also take white puff paint if you have puff paint and do that. And then I just have a cheap number 4 round brush. I don't use these for watercolor. I use these for acrylics and glitter and all that. So they're kind of grungy. It's like nylon bristles. Cheap craft brush, basically. So you'll get your white paint and see we'll start up here. Oops. And then I'm just dabbing it because little foamy sprays are not in perfect little lines. So I'm purposely dabbing. But like I said, you could do this with Posca or gel pen. Gel pen will take a little longer. Not exactly the same effect, but still, if you don't have paint, like don't go buy it. You can make this with Posca or gel pen. Basically, I just kind of gently drag it out. Okay, and then over here, same thing. Just don't want to cover his hand, but if I do, it's okay, because believe it or not, acrylic paint, once dry, erases really well. So just take your little electric or battery eraser and off it goes. And yes, I'm covering those bubbles, but that's because they're kind of just all up in my way. So right now I'm focusing on the larger areas of the seafoam. Let me get you down just a teensy closer because I really do want you to see what I'm doing. Okay. Then just gently, like with a really light feathery motion, pull some of the edges back towards your blue. See, I'm just kind of pulling them out. All right, so I'm gonna let that one dry, and let me see if I can find another one to show you as an example. Okay, like right here, we have another one that actually needs some sea foamies. Not a lot, just a little. And then I just really gently drag it down. Okay. Like up here, this one needs it a little too. So the next thing I would do is I'll take an X-Acto or craft knife and just take your knife. You can do this while it's wet or dry, by the way, so don't like go rushing yourself. If it dries, it scrapes off just as easily. But I just scrape off a little bit of the paint. I'm not pressing hard to where I cut my paper. I'm just making scratchies and pulling the paint with it. Now, if your paper is really wet, like right here, it's really saturated, barely scrape. Don't worry about the paint that comes off there, but like very gently scrape. In fact, let me move this a little more because the camera angle might be killing the view for you guys. But yeah, like see, I am gently, because this area is a lot more saturated than the other areas because I only used a little bit, whereas here I've got quite a bit. So I'm just like barely scraping as I pull some of this color away, and you'll know you're not scraping hard if you see your pencil. Now, if you don't see your pencil emerging from where you're scraping, then you're scraping too hard. Unless you just see white and then you're scraping not enough. But just less is more. You can always go back later. Right, see, so I've kind of made those little scratches in there. Let me reposition you guys and then I can show you some more of the Seafoam too. Okay, so for example, if I want to get some up here, I just kind of dot it in with my brush. You can always go and add more paint too after. Okay, and see that one is still wet, but I'm just going to gently, very gently scrape, and it drags a little too, which is awesome. Saves me from having to use a gel pen. And drags it out. Like these ones up here were actually dry when I did them, so it was kind of, that's why like there's a chunk there, but I still was moving gently so that I didn't destroy my page. This one may bubble a little because it's a little more sprayed up than I would like, but it's because it's a big area. I can do this one down here too real fast. Kind of show you guys, but I mean, I'm covering up Kirby's lines for sure. Basically, anywhere you have put like your light aqua and white, you kind of consider those your little Seafoam spots. And you can put as much or as little as you want. You don't have to like be really heavy-handed with it. Almost out of paint. I really hope the video quality is okay. I'm sorry if it's blurry. Keep adjusting, but it doesn't seem to be adjusting. So I'm just gonna I've thought about putting some glitter in these too, but we'll see. Okay, and then if for some reason you feel like you're still not quite getting the effect you want, say it didn't drag out really well and give you what you wanted, we'll take this one for example. Maybe I wanted to drag further. I just take a white gel pen, make sure it's not clogged because that's like the story of my life. Just add a few more lines. You can even smear them with your hand a little. You know, and then if you want to erase them when they're fresh, just wipe them off. But yeah, you can use your little gel pen to add like areas where it's not big enough for you to break out the acrylic. Just use your gel pen like this. Like this one here. Let's see, here, this one could be another example. And you just kind of want to drag it and make it messy looking. Yeah, so you can use gel pen or the paint. The paint is definitely easier for the larger areas, especially when you're working on such a waxy surface like this. But if I lift you guys up, excuse the sheen, afternoon sun likes to make it all bright. But yeah, so that is how I do the waves. So now you know the color combo. You can keep, going about this page. If you're working on this page, use it on another page. Break out your acrylic paint if you want. You don't have to. But I will be continuing with my acrylic paint and gel pen kind of combo, going through, finishing all these waves off. And I'll still be coloring this one down here. And then I will be tackling the bubbles after I get my background in. And of course, all the surfers. Like this page, you would think the fish is the most complicated part, but really it's everything else. But yeah, guys, I hope this was helpful to show you how I did my little waves here. And then if you have any tutorial requests, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, as always, leave me a comment. And thank you guys so much for watching me, and hopefully the video quality was good there. It seemed blurry, so I really hope this recorded. But until next time, take care.